Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about first block, like practice tips, general ways that you can improve, and different ways you can help get faster in your practice. So let's get started. So first I want to talk about doing as many blocks as possible. So this includes, in my opinion, the best way would be opposite color neutral. So when you first start using Uru, you may just be starting on like one color of a block. I think I know in like one tutorial it's like white blue is the block they start you on. So you want to try and expand to as many blocks as you can. Really, as long as you're like under 50 seconds, you probably should be using any white block. So that means things like, white orange, white green, white red, and white blue. So you should be able to build a block of any color as long as it has white attached to it. So what this does is it opens up 4 options of blocks for you to use. So say white blue isn't too great of an option, I can move to white green or white red or white orange. And then I would also recommend probably somewhere around like 30 seconds going to opposite color neutral. And I find this is pretty easy to do with Ru. I don't know why. I think it's like a little harder with CFOP, at least whenever I try and do it. But that's switching to using yellow as well. So you can do like a yellow-orange block. This is going to be inefficient, but so you could do yellow-orange. So, well, this might be white, you're replacing it with yellow. And then you would do that for all colors. So you could do a yellow-green, a yellow-red, and a yellow-blue. This isn't that hard to do because you're only swapping out the white color and all of the other colors are remaining the same. And this now opens up 8 different opportunities for you to do. So say like there's no good white block, then you can move to yellow. And really this is just about giving yourself as many options as possible so you can take advantage of every case you get. Opposite color neutral is what I use, and pretty much that's about as far as you need to go. I don't really think full color neutrality is necessary for even sub 10. I don't know if Keon Mansour is fully color neutral. He might be. But really, you don't need to go that far unless you're going like best of the best. So opposite color neutrality using white and yellow is perfectly fine for literally any speed. And you may be thinking, well, what if I solve on a yellow block and then just from like me being used to whatever, I go ahead and I solve a white block over here. That's okay. This is actually something called non-matching blocks, and you should know how to do it. I'll teach you here real quick, but you should know how to do it just in case you accidentally make the mistake. Sometimes you can intentionally do this. If you build a yellow block and then you see that this white-red is just very lucky, you can go ahead and take advantage of that. But what you would do is you would just simply solve 2 blocks with these strips being opposite colors, and then you would go ahead and do CMLL, treating the same opposite colors that you find down here as your main color. So recognition can be a bit hard, but I think this is just that, right? Yeah, and then you can see the squares will line up like this. And then LSC stays the same because you're dealing with opposite colors, whites and yellows, still easy to recognize. And then you would do ULURs, and then the last step, and you're going to end with either an R2 or an R2 prime. So you'll end with one of these moves, and then you're done. I usually don't do this intentionally that often, and I usually only make the mistake of accidentally doing it probably once in every 200 solves, but you still should know of it in case you ever come across it in a solve. It's really not that hard to learn. I guess another thing that's worthwhile mentioning is, of course, example solves are a great way to learn. You may notice the better you get with Ru, the more often you'll notice like certain patterns in first block, and you'll sort of start to develop cases in your mind of what something looks like and how to react to it. But of course, there's always some cases that you'll find that you necessarily weren't aware of before, and then seeing someone do it in a video kind of like opens you up to it. I would recommend Keon Mansour using his example solves. He's, arguably the best Ru user in the entire world, so his videos are probably going to be top notch. I do have, I think, 2 example solve videos. You can watch those, but if you're my speed, which is 13 seconds or faster, they're really not going to do you any justice because, you know, you wanna be watching example solves of someone who's faster than you, obviously, so you can learn the best techniques. But as a baseline, I would recommend Kian Mansour. His example solves are really well done. Also, it's important to not forget, the old tale of the tortoise and the hare, slow and steady wins the race. This is very much true for Rue users. Do not rush it. Do not try and turn as fast as possible. Trust me, this is something I struggle with a lot. And turning slow to try and get the best solution possible will do you so much good in your Rue solves. So please remember to take it slow. It'll probably just drop your times if you're turning too fast already. Another thing to do is just do slow solves in general. If you're doing so much speed solving, you kind of miss out on that opportunity to just kind of sit down with the cube and start doing first block and trying to think of new creative ways to do things. Doing slow solves and just kind of learning yourself is kind of like watching yourself do an example solve video, and I really think it can do you a lot of good. So don't forget to do slow solves every once in a while. I really think they could help you out a lot. So this next technique, I'll actually have to give a shout out. I think it's Brody the Cuber who kind of gave me this idea. I guess I learned it. I was watching his video like cross tips or something, and he used this interesting practice method, which obviously applies to first block, and I'll show you it here. But just know I didn't really come up with this one. So that is, I look at the scramble up top, I do the scramble. Wait, that's a B2. And then I would not actually time my solve, but instead I will count the number of moves it takes me to do my first block. So I guess I don't really need to try too hard, but I didn't even count that. Wow. Okay, but let's just say that was like, I don't know, 8 moves. So I need to make sure I'm on this typing setting here. You go to timer and then entering times with typing on CS timer. Is it okay? Then I would type in the number of moves. So let's just say it was 8 and I hit enter. And then you can see here, it says I did 8 moves. And you can see my previous practice ones. I did a 7, an 8, a 6, a 10, a 9, a 9, an 8. So those are all the amount of moves it took me to complete my first block. And then it'll start to give you an average. This helps you kind of like find out, hey, how fast can I do my first block? How many moves is it taking me? And you can see my mean is about 8. So I average 8 moves for my first block. And this can kind of really help you determine where you are in your practice and how fast you need to be. If you've ever watched Kian's videos on like how to be sub X, he often gives you like certain move counts per step. And using this method here is a great way to determine your first block move count. And it can really tell you how much you need to improve or how much you want to improve. So I think it's a great way to kind of tell yourself how far along you are in your practice. Of course, there always is the fact that sometimes a slower or more move solution will be more ergonomic. Now with Rue, you typically would choose the faster, more efficient solution, but do keep in mind that you can sometimes choose more moves for better finger tricks. So do keep in mind that you don't need to do the ultimate most efficient solution each time. Just something to keep in mind. So for this next practice tip, I'm switching back over to just like the keyboard timer mode. This tip will help you with your inspections. So what you want to do is you want to ask yourself, how far do I want to be inspecting in my solves? So at the speed I'm at, I should probably be inspecting my whole first block. I don't all the time with harder cases, but I try my best. So basically what you'll do here is grab a blindfold first of all, or something to cover your eyes with, or you can just close your eyes if you trust yourself. And then before you look at your cube, you do your scramble. Before you look at the cube, hit solve. And then you can go ahead and start inspecting your first block. So, I don't know, here I could bring this up over and attach it to here, and then move this over and bring it down and insert it in the back, and then just do an F2 up top and insert it with a wide move. So that's my inspection. Then I would stop the timer. I would put my blindfold on, so I'd put it, over my eyes, and then I would do those moves. So I would solve it up the top, bring the bottom piece down, insert it in from the back, F2, wide move, put it in. There's my first block. And then as long as I actually completed the first block, I wouldn't count it as a DNF, and then I'd look at my time. So, okay, 26 seconds. That is not 15. Realistically, whatever I'm trying to inspect, I want to get it in 15 or less, but more like 12 or less, because once you hear 12 seconds, when you hear the judge say 12 seconds, you should put your cube down and then start. So you want to try and get your inspection time for whatever step you're doing to be under 12 seconds. That's just a good rule of thumb to help you practice your inspection. And then you can just keep doing this over and over again until you get that first block inspection time where you want it to be. Of course, if you're not as advanced, you could say, I want to inspect just my first square, or my first square like plus an edge. Or if you're really advanced, you could say, I'll inspect first block plus DR edge. You can go that far. So wherever you are, find that area, and then you can use this practice method to help you get that time lower and lower. So again, you would scramble it, start the timer, inspect your first block, stop it, put your blindfold on, complete it. If it's complete, then you would, if it's not complete, you give yourself a DNF, but as long as it's complete, you would save the time and say, okay, I did that in 17 seconds, so let's try and shave off a few seconds next time. So that's it for that practice technique. So there you have it. That is my first block tips for you. I wish you the best in your practice, and I hope you improve quickly. So yeah, that's it. If you're a CFOP user watching this, you're kind of crazy, but everyone, have a nice day, and I'll see you next time. Alright, so the video's not over yet. I want to give a shout out to RuCubing, or r/RuCubing. It's a subreddit. If you have a Reddit, make sure you go and join the subreddit. If you don't have a Reddit, make one and give them a follow. They have a lot of helpful stuff like Ru tips, Ru videos, people asking for help. It's a great community. I'm on it, and make sure you join it, and you can find a lot of helpful stuff on there. So go join the RuCubing subreddit, everybody. All right, that's it. Goodbye.